It's been a long journey for anyone who started with the MCU since its conception back in 2008 with Iron Man, and the epic conclusion of 10 years of Endgame. With almost everything good in hindsight, everyone knows Marvel's been drifting in rocky, shallow waters. Projects that were announced, only a few have come to fruition, and are considered successful either financially or through audience responses. Disney was aware of this problem and asked Marvel Studios to rethink their plans, hopefully moving forward once again with the connecting story from film to film. This brings us to the Fantastic Four first steps.
I herald Galactus.
One thing to start with is, in my lifetime, this is the third reincarnation of Marvel's first family, which is never a good sign for any franchise, but surprisingly I think they got it right this time. Like I said, the MCU's been around for a while, and it's a strange time to go back and pick up some old 20th Century Fox pieces. Marvel knows this about the Fantastic Four, so they try to do their best quickly introduce us to the team and their origin story before beginning a new tale. The super genius Reed Richards, his wife Susan, his brother-in-law Johnny Storm, and his best friend Ben Grimes take a flight on a daring adventure into space, accidentally getting genetically altered, returning to their world, Earth. This isn't our Earth, as mutants, but they never define themselves as that. Their world parades around the Fantastic Four and sees them as the saviors of humanity, able to defeat many threats made to New York City and the planet at large, until a female Silver Surfer named Shala Bal arrives on Earth delivering some unfortunate news. Galactus is coming to devour their planet and there's nothing you can do about it. So the people of Earth ask the Fantastic Four to help stop this deep space threat. Side note here, when preparing for this film's release, I went back and reviewed the old Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer because I thought the plots would be very similar. Well, it turns out I was right. Everything I explained is the same plot as the old movie, and they have very unique differences. I guess as a reviewer, I would be upset with the rehashing of old stories, especially in modern times, but what we improve upon is working its way to potential greatness. Because we briefly sum up the origins of the team, we immediately begin with our heroes having become a family and function just like that. Johnny and Ben are at each other's throats in this one. Thank God. Instead, they're like cousins who bug each other, but never to the point where threats are made. Reed and Sue are married and are expecting their first child, which excites them as a family and the world to welcome another superhero.
You are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. But we're gonna be the best uncles out.
Ben Grimes as the Thing, with his mocap suit, is actually very cool to me. We get the size and the looks we all know him for. Even with the loss of practical effects, we never lost Ben's personality and the big rock heart of his. Ben also isn't lost, not moping around in society in some depressing manner. He seems to have gotten himself put together. Johnny is still our jock on the team, but he isn't dumb. He takes it upon himself to learn and translate Sheila Ball's language, which frees up Reed's stress on the impending Doom problem. Johnny is also brave and strong and not too stubborn, often making the harder decisions before the team thinks to act. I liked this iteration of Johnny, and he quickly became my favorite character of the group. Sue is perhaps the most improved upon character overall with the team. Her problem of being not just a mother of the group, but now to her first child Franklin, she has powerful moments that make you realize the last two actresses who portrayed her were severely shafted by Hollywood, probably due to sexism. Here, Sue isn't sexualized, but instead is a superhuman woman who takes problems head on. Also, by the end, we get a good idea of how powerful this character actually is. Last is Reed Richards, who is played by Pedro Pascal, and that's an issue with me. Reed's acts and functions just like those who played him before him, but when I look at this iteration, I cannot see anything but Pedro Pascal with a white accent. The accent isn't right for the tone of the film, and it isn't his native one either. I don't know what they were thinking with the accent here. Reed does have a new problem in this film, becoming a dad while trying to solve everyone else's problem. He's filled with doubt and worry, but he can rely on his family to have his back.
Who wants to see a big explosion?
So all the members of the Fantastic Four are essentially the same as the comics, but with stronger depth. The largest improvement was Galactus, who this time Disney has all the rights and got to show him off in his true comic book accurate depiction. It's actually so damn cool to see him in live action every time he's on screen. He's so big and mighty, he demands the audience's attention. The sets are actually something to check out because they're mostly practical, with a few exceptions of like the obvious use of CGI. But as cool as the sets are with the project, the story's ebbs and flows are a little unorthodox. You'll go through nearly a whole hour before the threat of Galactus is first shown, and then there's the retreat that leads to more talking head stuff. But if you pay attention at this point, you'd get an understanding about the enemy and finding a solid solution, aka science stuff straight from a comic book. While this is exciting to see as a longtime fan of Marvel's movies, the film begins a bit jarring. The MCU's logo is taken away, which makes matters worse. If you haven't picked up on it, but I think we all did at this point, the story takes place in another universe that will eventually cross over with our version of the MCU. There's also a lack of Victor Von Doom. He doesn't have to be in everything Fantastic Four related, but seeing him would have been nice instead of just showing me an empty chair at the Future Foundation. Also, the founding of the Future Foundation was weird to me because I know this iteration of the team when they lose Johnny and he's replaced by Spider-Man. After all this, you get used to the retro-futuristic 1960s version of living. One thing you'll notice is how much product placement this movie has. One of the set pieces used for multiple scenes in Times Square where they get to use non-stop ads. Johnny sits down with a box of Lucky Charms. The only news channel in New York apparently is ABC, which I mean Disney. What a weak self-high five, especially with everything that's been going on this year. And though I find it a bit odd, how do you expect them to fund a project when Disney wasn't sure about it? They used all this advertising to help pay for the bills.
Clever little bugs.
This movie is a 5 out of 5 from me. Surprisingly, it's the same story as Rise of the Silver Surfer, but done better. I enjoy how different this one was compared to others. I actually liked all the characters. Though Reed is my only issue, I like that I know he has a weakness, and they got the family dynamic right. I was reading that the cast did weeks of rehearsals to make sure this happened. Now, is this the right time for the Fantastic Four to show up to MCU? I'd say no. It's way too late for this. You should have had them show up at the beginning. And another thing I thought about, Reed Richards is a control freak. He takes matters into his own hands. He might be the right guy to help steer the MCU into maybe a Flashpoint style reboot. It will be interesting to see how this team interacts with our existing members in the MCU. I can't imagine Bucky flying in space. Thanks for watching, bye. Johnny is still our big honey jock boy. I don't know why that's written there.